Welcome to the Fly Route Pod. Whether it's your first time listening to any of our videos or you're a return listener, do us a favor. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content.
The Fly Route Pod. The Fly Route Pod. The Fly Route Pod.
The Chicago Bulls, massive winners in free agency. This team doesn't look anything like what Garpax left us in Chicago, and that can only be a good thing. We made a lot of massive moves, and those started at the trade deadline last year, giving up Wendell Carter Jr., giving up multiple first-round picks, getting Nikola Vucevic into the building. And I just want to say that Arturos and his staff, Mark, etc., that was actually a big move because I feel like that move sent a signal to the rest of the league that this free agency was built upon. It sent that signal that the Chicago Bulls were ready to be contenders, ready to spend, were ready to be successful, and that this is a real big-time market that people should consider. And I think that folded over into another thing that was very big on us during trade deadline season, but we got Lonzo Ball. I mean, you've probably seen a bunch of videos from me by now about how great Lonzo Ball's fit would be for this team. So I'm not going to rehash all of that, but we got Lonzo Ball, 4 years, $85 million. I thought Lonzo was going to be a $20 million a year floor player in this free agency period. So giving him just a little bit over that has no qualms with me. I really like this deal for us. We end up having to send back Thomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple, as well as a second round pick to New Orleans, and that's not a bad haul for getting Lonzo Ball. I was never a big fan of Sato's game for what we needed him to do on the Bulls. He needed to get some primary playmaking capabilities going, especially because Kobe was having some issues being a playmaker, but being a great scorer at times for us during this last year of his. So I think this is actually a massive gain for us. He's a 15-point a game scorer, Lonzo is. He shot great from the 3-point, almost 40% this year, was almost 40% from the floor, drastically improved his playmaking and being able to play off the ball this last season in New Orleans. He still averaged almost 6 assists a game, and that was with Van Gundy taking the ball out of his hands the latter part of the season to go really point Zion for the most part in this area of the range. So I just think that this is going to be huge for us. He's going to be able to make massive plays in transition as well as in the half court. But people's big knock on Lonzo, sometimes in the half court, just like a lot of other young players that are prolific playmakers, they kind of stall out a little bit. But this is where the Bulls found a perfect solution. Of course, we could always put the ball in Zach LaVine's hands. Never a bad idea. But we need other people to initiate offense to free up Zach LaVine to get him easier shots. And the second addition that we made was DeMar DeRozan. I am super plussed about this DeMar DeRozan addition. He fills the 3 spot. I feel like Chicago has been trying to fill and get a real strong small forward literally every year since Jimmy Butler left. And that is something that we've never really been able to fill. And I think DeMar DeRozan does that for us. 3 years, $85 million. People say that's a little rich. Sure, possibly, but I have no real qualms about how rich this contract is. I have qualms really with how much we gave up San Antonio. Gave up to San Antonio. Like we gave up a future first round pick, 2 second round picks. We also gave them Thad, who I love, and I wish we would have been able to keep Thad. He would have been a great rotation piece for us, especially with all these new additions to the team. And I just think that it's not that DeMar DeRozan isn't great. It's not that I don't expect him to be fantastic on the Bulls. I think it's more so he was an I think he was an unrestricted free agent. And I think that he could have walked and San Antonio could have gotten nothing. And maybe absent a sign and trade, we could not have gotten him to us. He would have went somewhere else, and we had to make this move. But I do feel like when it comes to draft capital, we have really given up a lot of picks. And that's my one qualm with this move. Otherwise, this is fantastic. Like, this is fantastic. He scored 20 points a game or more in each of the last 8 seasons, scored almost 22 last year with just under 50%. scoring. And the thing that I think is like really underrated about DeMar DeRozan is that when he went to the Spurs and was no longer next to Kyle Lowry, he had to become a playmaker. And that is something that Pop really emphasized and instilled in him. He started averaging nearly 6 assists a game while playing on that San Antonio team. So that means in the half court, especially a guy with such a great and devastating and high percentage mid-range jump shot, his ability to play make and get other people open shots in the half court where Lonzo can excel in some more spot up 3-point shooting positions that he really excelled in New Orleans towards the latter half of last year is going to be big. I think that we look fantastic and we should be like a top 5 seed in the East this upcoming year with all the additions that we've made. Now, we've made some other smaller additions, and they are still just as important. We got Alex Caruso. We gave him a 4-year, $37 million deal. That's just under $9 million a year, I want to say. And he's going to be he's going to be a great addition. He's very defensive minded. Defense was an issue for Chicago. We really focus on fixing that defensive lack that we had. We got a guy in the draft 2 years ago in Patrick Williams. He's going to be a defensive-minded stalwart for this team. Then we got Lonzo Ball, who has been known for his defense ever since he got into the league. And then, we also got Alex Caruso, who makes his bones on defense. He can score here and there, but will make great run on our second team. And that's big. Another move that we made that I think is underrated, flying under the radar, but I think this is important to kind of give you all a feel for what's next for the Bulls, is that we made a trade and gave Daniel Tice to the Rockets. And this lets me know that AK is going to be aggressive going forward because this has created a trade exemption of about $9 million that we have that we will be able to use this year if we have another target in mind. And all of this, that means we are still also $20 million under the luxury tax after all of these moves. Yes, including DeRozan. So that means that we might still be able to keep Lauri Markkanen, which would be a great continuation on our team. And I think in a team where we have some more spacing, some other guys to fill more developed roles, and Lauri is actually a bench player, he can actually do a lot in that role. But he could also still be a piece of trade bait. We don't know where they're going to go with that. But all I know is with this trade exemption and the cap space that we still have and everything that AK has shown us in now his second year going into it of being the vice president of Bulls basketball operations, is that he's going to be aggressive and he's going to get stuff done. And I cannot wait to see what comes next. Now,